We're moving on now. We're moving on into H4, which are a series of requests with regards to tax relief under the MGA, Article 3471. Does council want the opportunity to discuss them generally first, or to move into talking about them specifically? Paul Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, yeah, to discuss them generally, because they all have something in common, but they're all different. And I am personally aware of the situations of the residents that wrote those letters in section H4 to H12. I've been to their houses, and there are many more that are actually not asking for financial relief. So I know it can't be easy for people to publicly state that you need financial assistance and a reduction on your tax bill, yet they did. So certainly they are in some sort of financial distress. Clearly they need help, and we as a municipality are able to provide some relief. So while the MGA uses the term equitable, I think council can also consider what is fair, because most often the term fair and equitable go hand in hand. I don't think that the MD will be financially burdened by canceling the municipal portion of the residents' total ask, and we have done this in the past in other parts of the MD. In 2019, we had close to a $2 million surplus, and the total of the municipal taxes that are asked to be canceled, if council agrees, is $9,110.56. So I believe that's less than 0.005% of last year's surplus. So clearly, money is not the issue here. If council were to approve it, I think the tax stabilization fund would probably be an appropriate source to keep our budget balanced. But I also had to note that as you read those letters, there are no receipts attached. There's a number of different asks in there. And I think that we should be given some consideration to not only what's equitable, but to what is fair. And is there another approach to take to this? So that's my general comment.
Okay. So I guess we're moving to general comments first. So I open to other councillors. Lisa.
Mr. Chairman.
Hold on. Lisa has the hand. Hold on, Paul.
Okay.
Lisa.
Go ahead, Lisa.
So I do agree that we need to have a general conversation for this, and I'm not sure if well, where I should mention this, but maybe I'll just bring it up here, and then that will let council know where I'm sitting with everything. But I personally would really like to have a better understanding of the needs of all the affected residents in East Exshaw, not just the residents that submitted letters to council. The requests that are submitted are very inconsistent with each other. And I would like to see this conversation proceed in a more equitable way, where everyone, even those that didn't submit a request, are considered. I feel it would be in council's best interest to refer this to the finance committee to seek clarity and to look for ways to make potential support consistent, equitable, and fair for everyone.
Paul Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with Councillor Ryan in concept that this is probably affordable, but I want to move to the equitable part, because I have some ratepayers in my ward that are also suffering from financial burden because of fairly substantial increased assessments. And my opinion is that and I'll open this for discussion, but I think it's affordable in the MD to be able to forgive $1,000 per resident, per household in the whole municipality. And that would be the equitable part, because I think if we start forgiving taxes for one area, it'll soon get around that, well, why don't I get the same thing? And so that's my position, is that it should be right across the board in the municipality.
So how many houses do you think there are in the municipality, Paul?
I think there's probably 500 or 600.
There's 750 or more. So you're talking about $1 million rebate.
I am, yes.
Okay.
And that's the number I had in mind. I would call that not a rebate, but a tax relief.
Okay. I'll take your definition.
Thank
All
you.
right.
I hear what Councillor Clark is saying, but that is not the question before us today in items H4 through H12. But I do think, and I agree with Councillor Rosebolt, that there needs to be further consideration given to this. And so I am going to make a motion, Mr. Chair, to refer this to the Finance and Economic Development Committee for further consideration, and that would be items 4 to 12.
Does that cover all of them, Paul, before I have to look? Is that all 9?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So there is a motion now to refer it to Finance and Economic. What I've heard that's different than the staff report is that we're only talking about the municipal tax section, not school taxes, not foundation taxes, not local improvement levies.
That is my position, yes, Mr. Chair.
So
My position as well.
yeah. Okay.
And I appreciate your clarity on that, because it isn't clear
In the report itself. Yes.
So I'll just amend my motion to refer, Mr. Chair, to just add that to refer 4 through 12, Finance and Economic Development Committee to consider the cancellation of the municipal portion of the taxes. And that makes it, I think, a little bit more clear.
Okay. And Paul, you in your statements made reference to the fact that at some point in the past, Council has used Section 347 to give economic hardship relief.
Yeah, I believe it was in 2013, Mr. Chair, or after, subsequent to 2013.
Are you certain of that recollection?
No, I was not able to actually go find it, Mr. Chair, but I do believe it was one or more properties in benchlands. That's my memory, but I could be misremembering.
Yes,
but certainly I think if we consider this at Finance and Economic Development, we can actually flesh that out and ask administration to provide us more information.
I do, but administration will be very aware that we have every year almost, and sometimes multiple requests for the tax relief to be afforded, and we seldom, if ever, have used Section 347. We usually use another policy in our organization, which allows people to come forward and take their tax situation, which by the way is a lien, well-described lien, and they can have relief by getting conditions over time with which to come even on their account. So in the past, we've used this almost exclusively, and it has been very successful in arriving at an agreed outcome, a negotiated outcome, far more successful than unsuccessful. I will admit there are a couple of cases that have gone all the way to repossession, which is really unfortunate, and we try to avoid that as much as we can. but why are you not going to the usual route?
Mr. Chair, taxpayers are assured under the Municipal Government Act that they have an opportunity to seek directly to council for tax relief, and that is what they've done here.
Yes, but it doesn't assure them tax relief for financial burden, Paul.
No, it doesn't assure anything, but it does guarantee them that they can actually get their plight before council.
Yes,
which is where it is today.
Yep, I agree with that. But do you agree with me? We have usually handled these matters differently.
I will agree with you that we have handled almost every single one of them uniquely based on the circumstances. And I think Councillor Roosevelt and I are in agreement that we need to have a better look at this. And if there's another instrument that may provide them some financial aid, because some of them are in serious financial distress down there, that maybe that's the route to go. But this is what guaranteed them to get it before council.
I realize it is before council and should be before council. Paul Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We haven't had a finance meeting for some time, and is there a suggestion that we're going to start having those meetings again soon?
Yes, that was at one of our conversations that you missed. The last Wednesday conversation, this was brought up.
I apologize for that. I had a real fairly critical business concern that I had to.
I'm not chastising you at all. I am saying that at that meeting, it was pointed out that a finance and economic meeting would be necessary in the near future. So the one will be organized. Okay. Is there anything more that needs to be said to Paul Ryan's motion, which is to refer it now to finance and economic?
To consider cancellation of the municipal portion of their tax bill, Mr. Chair, to make sure it's clear that it's not everything that's on there.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
I support the motion. I think we need to have a better conversation with more facts, and we need to look at this in a way to seek more clarity and a consistent and equitable message and result.
Okay. Is there any reason I can't call a question? Administration, do you want to weigh in at all?
Reeve Cooper, no, your motion is fine. We can have the meeting on July 28th if that is your preference.
Okay, looking at my calendar, that is open. That is a Tuesday, by the way. So July 28th. And would that be like this or in chambers?
It'll be a Teams meeting.
Teams meeting. Okay. Any problems with that for a date?
Nope, that works for me. Thank you very much.
I'm fine.
Thank you. All right. Call any question. All in favor? Going around the room. Paul Ryan, yes. Lisa Rossfeld, yes. Paul Clark, yes. Dean Cooper, yes. We will deal with the issues in finance and economic in the near future.
Thank you.
Okay. Will Shana be with us at that time, Rob?
I'm not sure about Mr. Luca, but I'm pretty sure Shana is back from holidays by then.
Okay. Very good. I take it, Council, that we have moved now past H9, 10, 11.
4 to 12.
And now we have your interest, Paul, as 13. Highway.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I think anybody that travels the 1A highway on the weekends is aware that the MD of Bighorn on the 1A highway and the day use areas have become incredibly popular. And I think those of us that have been around for a while will recall in our municipal development plan that the 1A highway from CB to the Greymont Quarry has always been considered an industrial corridor. And we have 90-ton rock trucks travel on that road 7 days a week. And we now have hundreds of people parking on the 1A highway at the day use areas because they've been discovered. That is not compatible use with industrial use. And so sections 1246, 1255, and 13 of our municipal development plan speak to those types of conflicts where tourism conflicts with our resource industry. Unfortunately, and I've witnessed it myself, is that the rock trucks are traveling on that road and the tourists are getting out of their vehicles on that road as if they're in Bow Valley Provincial Park. Literally just walking across the road in front of big trucks, and you will see that there are a number of tire marks in that vicinity where the big rock trucks have had to smoke their trailer brakes to get stopped. So I have spoken with the RCMP about it. I have actually made a formal complaint. There is certainly a manpower issue that I respect. However, I do believe that the MD should be advocating on behalf of their resource industry to Alberta Transportation to look for some sort of enforcement there that keeps people from parking on both sides of the road where only one rock truck can get through and not go into opposing traffic. The one thing that does come to mind for me, because we're dealing with city folks, is maybe using some city rules. So anybody that's ever parked in downtown Calgary at 3:30 in the afternoon will know that you're parking in a no parking tow zone. That does not require law enforcement to deal with your infraction. The tow truck drivers deal with it. And so if the law enforcement have a manpower issue, I'm sure that the towing companies could probably help out there if they became a no parking tow zone. And I don't know how we go about that because we don't have jurisdiction there. But we are certainly going to see something catastrophic there based on what's been occurring in the last couple of weekends. So I don't know where we can go with it, Mr. Chair, or if there's any appetite to go someplace with it, or if administration can help out with some suggestions. Normally, we would have a trucking safety committee where we could probably push this forward, but we're not having committee meetings.
We have the ability to meet with Alberta Transportation. And you're quite right. We do not have care and control of that highway. They do. And while I think that we can bring our residents and industry issues forward to Alberta Transportation, and have in the past, often with success, industry should also be encouraged to speak for themselves and not just through us. We can help them with their message, but it helps us to have them present their own as well.
Yeah, certainly, Mr. Chair. I don't disagree with that. I'm actually just trying to get this started in one way or another. And so if administration can set up a meeting of the Trucking Safety Committee, and we can bring Alberta Transportation to that, because that is where we would have normally been dealing with it. And whether we do that virtually or in person, it doesn't matter to me, but I would rather us have tow trucks out there than ambulances.
No, and I understand that. The other one is are you of the same belief that I am, that although this is far more intense this year, possibly because of COVID, but it's probably not going to go away. The intensity is going to linger year after year from now on. We're not trying to solve it for this year.
No, Mr. Chair, I think this is something that we need to address quickly while it is still small enough to be able to address. I think that while COVID had an influence on it because the parks were closed, people were aggressively seeking other recreational activities, and they discovered all of these. And once you find a free place to go, you will continue going there. And we're seeing this all over the Bow Valley. So I think it would be appropriate for us to try to deal with this while it's still manageable.
Just to amplify what you're saying, Paul, and support it, I noted on Sunday that Alberta Parks and Recreation shut down Yamniska Mountain.
That's correct, Mr. Chair. That was due to a fatality. However, I have personally witnessed and spoken with Alberta Environment and Parks COs in that area and in other areas where I have been told that there is a horsepower issue. And I do see them there when people are parking on the highway, but I don't see anybody with a ticket book out. So I think it's time that we try to help encourage them with a positive message that if you don't park on the highway, your vehicle will be there when you get back.
Yes. Okay, I think a lot has been said.
Mr. Chairman, did I add something?
Yes, of course.
The RV sales across the country are better than they've been in years, and simply because of the COVID prices. The staycation, I guess, is probably the reason is that more people are realizing that they really don't want to get involved in transportation areas where there's a lot of people involved, for instance, flying or cruises, and so they're buying these RVs, and it really manifests itself in Cochrane on a Sunday night, trying to get across that Highway 22 intersection. I mean, it goes kilometers down Highway 1A for people trying to get through that intersection. So it has dramatically increased the traffic on Highway 1A.
Okay.
So I think I want to go back to your point. This is maybe just the beginning of a major concern.
Okay. Yep, that's a lot of good things have been said. I don't think more has to be said, but Rob, what do we have to do to call BCEC sub-trucking committee? It's usually the chair's call. Is there a problem with administration in getting that going?
No, there's no problem. But just as a follow-up to the background, I did ask Doug Marinchuk to look into this issue. As you know,
Yes.
the MD has no jurisdiction on the 1A highway or on Crown property. So he has been in contact with the RCMP and also with the Conservation Service. The key element is that because we don't have jurisdiction, the key people are making complaints, as Councillor Ryan has pointed out, he has made one as an individual. Those go to the RCMP. That the bio officers clearly can't be sort of the proxy for people making complaints here. They have to phone the RCMP about any issues about parking along the roads by those popular recreation areas that we have along the 1A highway. But it's not an issue for us to call that subcommittee together and get them to meet. I do have a question though. Has anybody received any complaints to the truck industry through our rock companies that work in the corridor?
I was contacted by one and advised him to contact the RCMP.
But not actually from the rock industry.
Oh, yes, it is from the rock industry.
As a manager at the manager's level?
At the owner's level?
No, at the plant manager level?
Well, the rock industry actually doesn't transport its own rock for the most part. That is subcontracted out.
That's what I'm
Yeah, so, and yes, I was, and I advised them that we had no jurisdiction, that they contact the RCMP. If I can make a suggestion, Mr. Chair, we had a Streets and Roads meeting that was scheduled for the 27th, which is now a blank spot in the calendar. And I'm the chair, last I looked, of the trucking subcommittee. So administration, can we try to angle for the 27th of this month to set up that meeting and invite transportation and the rock industry, trucking industry, and the RCMP?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
We will try for that date. If it's not, it will have to be the next available date then.
I know there's some challenges there, but at least we're moving forward with it, which I really appreciate. Thank you very much.
Yeah, happy to make that happen.
Thank you.
Now, I was part of your discussion here. Lana Hill came into my office and mentioned that there was a technical issue hearing your last motion in regards to the Finance and Ec meeting. So I wonder if somebody could please repeat that for the record.
I can do it, sure. Is that council refer items H4 through H12 to the Finance and Economic Development Committee to consider cancellation of the municipal portion of the taxes.
Can I assume the vote is unanimous?
Yes, it will.
Yes.
Fair enough. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Paul, are you sure that the sub-trucking committee is streets and roads? Because it's my impression it's of
No, it's not.
BCEC.
It is BCEC, Mr. Chair. It's just that we have an opening on that date because the Streets and Roads Committee meeting was canceled.
Okay, now I've got you. Okay. Going on.
Yes, please.
That brings us to the end of H. We're now into I, which is inquiries of administration. Did we vote on that?
There was no motion, Mr. Chair, to set that meeting up. Administration was just going to accommodate it.
Okay, I think we can leave it there.
Yeah.
I think that's sufficient direction. Next one is inquiries of administration, going around the room. Lisa.
I'm inquiring as to being provided an update in terms of where we're at with the land swap in Dead Man's Flats, or the land.
That's
That had to be in camera.
What's that? Say it
That
again.
should be in
Bob?
camera, Mr. Chair.
It should be in
Yeah,
camera.
my inquiry is to be provided with an update at some point, not right now.
We can say out of in camera that the land swap has not been executed yet. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
I can't give you details past that because it would be in negotiations, Lisa, but it's
I
not.
totally understand that, but just looking for an update.
Well, we're not at the goalpost yet where titles have been exchanged. Okay. Anything else? No. Paul Ryan, anything?
I do, yeah. I know Mr. Ellis can't probably respond to this, but the work that was done on Exshaw Creek between Windridge Road and the creek is proceeding with the landscapers, which I think is great. My two questions are, is there any movement with Lafarge Landscaping on their piece of property? And the other one is there a warranty on the hydro seeding that was done there? Because it looks like grass is growing in some places and none growing in others at all. And it appears that they all receive the same amount of rain. So perhaps administration can follow up with Mr. Fulford to find out what's going on with that. And
Well, I can answer your
just looking
first
at the
question.
warranty period.
I can answer your first question.
Yeah.
And your first question is, we have not had any conversations with Lafarge about landscaping on their property.
Okay.
And the second one, I believe there's warranty, but I will clarify that and get back to council. I think it's a year's warranty.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Paul Clark.
I have had separate discussions with their CAO about some concerns that residents have expressed in my ward, and he's helping me he's drafting a letter to respond to their requests. And so that's in motion now. Thank you.
Okay. Very good. I had an observation, Rob, and it's that there's an unusual number of illegal use of land without, of recyclable materials. So apparently the bylaw is looking into quite a number of illegal disposal of recyclable materials. And this is unusual, and I haven't seen so many of these before. So is that a new priority, or is that because there's something new happening on the landscape?
Something new happening on the landscape.
Okay, then it's well worth our effort. Thank you. And the other one I wanted to note was in the financial pages that there were $16,000, almost $17,000 worth of pipes paid for through Bocor.
Yes, that was for the one that's on Pigeon Alley.
Yes.
And that was for the header. That
Okay.
people were tying their pumps to when they're pumping out their basements and properties.
So we're starting to get costs coming through on those accounts. Have you got a separate account set aside for flooding on those two blocks?
Yes, we do. We have a separate account.
Okay, and this would be the kind of thing that would go into that account?
Yes, in fact, we will provide you with a staff report with the MD's expenses for the groundwater event.
And when would that come forward?
As those bills come in, probably would have it in early September.
Okay, thank you. I think that's an important number for us to follow as well. Moving on to correspondence. We have items 1 through 9. Is there an omnibus motion for correspondence?
Sure.
I have it.
Receives information.
Ryan, calling the question. All in favor? And I'm in favor. Lisa's in favor. Paul's in favor. Paul's in favor. So that's correspondence has been received as information. We now have to go in camera, which is our last item of business. And is there any reason not to go in camera now?
Explain the
Motion,
process,
please,
Mr. Chair. No,
Pardon me?
Explain the process, Mr. Chair. We need to hang up on this conversation completely, and everybody has to vacate, and you have to go back and log back in again with a separate e-bite that you have from Robert, I believe, is it?
Yeah, through the chair. Actually, you don't have to go that far, Councillor Ryan. If you would just leave this, you don't have to hang up. I will give you a separate invite to a separate Teams meeting. We'll have that in camera as a closed session.
Okay, for the public's interest now, we're leaving public session. We're going to go into closed session, sometimes called in camera. I don't know how long we would be in there. We do not make motions in camera. We get information that's confidential and manage it there, but we will have to come back into open session and adjourn or close this meeting at some later moment. I have no way of telling how much time that will take. So does that